Coming up in the news tonight, 3,521 voters heading to the advanced polls on Grand Bahama. 3 new variants of the COVID-19 virus confirmed in country. And immigration officers reportedly calling in sick on Grand Bahama and Bimini. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news, thousands voting today in the advance poll ahead of the September 16th general election. Voting taking place here in Grand Bahama, New Providence, as well as polling stations outside the country, including London, Ontario, Canada, Washington, D.C., and New York City. More than 3,000 voters applied to vote in today's early poll here in Grand Bahama. We have team coverage of the advance poll. Italia Hall starts us off tonight in East Grand Bahama.
East Grand Bahama holding the largest amount of early voters on Grand Bahama. Some 841 persons were able to vote in the advance poll at the St. George's High School gym.
Yeah, I think we have a good leader, a doctor, and especially in this kind of time, this pandemic, we need somebody who knows what they're doing.
I believe that the PLP is the right choice for the people. I think that the PLP do look out for the small man and do look out for the majority of people. And that is why I choose this party.
Maybe because we are in a pandemic and a doctor, God for us, and put a doctor here to lead us. And we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and to me, I think we need that doctor to carry us through this.
I think we have to get someone who can handle COVID. All the things that the F&M said they're going to do, they haven't changed. In the new manifesto, they deal with it in one page, and they're going to do the same thing.
F&M candidate Kwesi Thompson says he is pleased with the turnout.
We must continue to move this country forward. And now, in the fragile place that this country is at, that we cannot move back, and this is not the time for us to change direction or change governments.
PLP candidate James Turner was also on hand to observe the process.
I have not seen this much optimism on Grand Bahama in a long time. So I am ecstatic about it. I'm happy about it. I mean, I see the feeling that people feel that change is coming.
But some registered voters taking issues with the process. They are not happy with the long wait times outside of the voting center.
I met about 30 people on the line, and so it took 2 hours or so for the 30 people. So that's about, 7 minutes a person? So I don't know if that's going to work on election day. Because in this constituency, you have about 800 people voting today, right? You're going to have 6,000 or 5,000.
Returning Officer Christian Palacios responding to those concerns.
We are getting some complaints from police officers who feel as though they shouldn't tow the lines, and of course you have where we have to accommodate seniors and disabled persons, but we're trying our best. My team, we are trying to get everyone out in less than 5 minutes. They're doing a pretty good job at that.
Now the returning officer says they expect things to move a little more smoothly throughout the day. We will now go to our Megan Shepard, who's in the Central Grand Bahama constituency.
Thanks, Italia. Well, St. George's High School, also the site for advanced poll voters registered in the Central Grand Bahama constituency. Some 720 persons applied for the advanced voting. Now, returning officer Chester Cooper telling our ZNS News team that by midday, more than half of those persons had already turned up to mark their X.
This morning was a little bit crazy because I think most persons, they came out to beat the rush, but they actually created a rush. So our lines extended way around the block this morning. But my team of workers, I must commend them. They did extremely well. As you can see now, we are completely empty.
Now, Cooper emphasizing that safety was the order of the day.
We would have basically marked out the areas for them to stand as well. The chairs are out because, of course, we have disabled voters as well as the older folks. And we don't want them standing up for a prolonged period of time. So we took out the chairs so they can sit in the chairs. Once they moved, we sanitized the chairs. Going to the polling place, they must wear their masks. They must sanitize. Once in the polling place, there are markers on the ground to stand as well. In addition to that, we sanitize the pencils they're using, we sanitize the boot, and all of these measures are done just to ensure that level of safety is in place.
He adds that although the day went rather smoothly for the most part, there were a few small hiccups.
Some persons didn't register for the advance poll. They thought that it was an automatic process, and they found out that it was not. So they're a little bit, disappointed, a few disgruntled, which is understandable. But we explained the process to them, and most of them kind of understand exactly what it is. That if they're not on the register, then they cannot vote. So the process so far, like I said, is going pretty well, and I'm quite pleased.
Now, these young voters say they felt it necessary to mark their X for the candidate they feel will best represent the constituency of Central Grand Bahama.
I think the process was quite seamless, much quicker than I initially expected. I came out here to vote because I think it's important for all young people to exercise their constitutional rights. And so I would implore everybody to just come out and just, do the right thing.
The person who I'm voting for, I don't want to say who they are, but I just say that I need to put my vote out there, make sure I get my vote in, and that everyone should come down and vote.
And as a young person, what are you looking forward to in a next leader for your constituency?
I'm looking for more job opportunities so we can further ourselves here, maybe some more funding for education purposes, but basically just that general area.
The Pine Ridge constituency got off to an early start with anxious voters eager to play their role in the process. Italia Hall picks up the story.
It was a heavy turnout in the Pine Ridge constituency. From as early as 8:30 a.m., residents could be seen standing in line outside of the Jack Haywood Junior High School, waiting to cast their ballots. Police officers were out in full force ensuring that voters were following all of the COVID-19 protocols. Along the street, party supporters as well as some party leaders were under tents observing the process.
I feel very good, very optimistic. It's good to see so much purple, and it's just good. It's very good. I think this process is moving smoothly, and I believe at the end of the day, I expect to be successful.
Ginger have a heart. Ginger cares. She loves people. She loves community. She loves to see people prosper, and she is going to do this because we're behind her 100%. Ginger for the people. Ginger for the people.
I'm feeling good. I spoke with them already. They said they're coming out to vote in full force, and they tell me they got to vote. They got to give me my support. Some say they support the PLP, but they will still support me. So don't mind the noise in the market. That's not, the shirt doesn't vote. At the end of the day, we will see the results, and it will be brutal at the end of the day.
We have an awesome turnout. We are so excited and so just enthused about everyone who has come out so far. It's really showing us love and support, and so we're grateful to everybody at this point.
Returning officer for the Pine Ridge constituency, Kathy Smith, admitting that the voting process was moving slowly.
Today is dedicated, as you know, to handicap and the elderly, and we have seen a large amount of persons in wheelchairs and walkers, and because of that it's a bit slow because we have to take our time with these persons.
A total of 738 registered voters eligible to vote in the advance poll, some not bothered by the wait, as they stood in line to cast their vote.
That's my right. That's my God-given right, being a Bahamian. My rights. And I think my vote should count. Each one of us have different ideas and different things, so we have a right to choose who we want. And that's their God-given right who they want, and it's my God-given right who I want.
Now, overall, these voters are encouraging all Bahamians to go and cast their votes come September 16th. I'm Italia Hall. We'll now go to R.J. Philippe, who's in the Marco City constituency.
Thank you, Italia. 773 residents in the Marco City constituency is eligible to vote in today's advance polls. By the looks of things with the lines, residents sure showed up in numbers. The advance poll voting for Marco City taking place at the Jack Haywood Senior High Gymnasium. 8 candidates were nominated in the Marco City constituency. On the outside of the school property, tents were erected for the various parties and independent candidates seeking to be elected as the next Member of Parliament for Marco City. Voters say they arrived at the polls as early as 7 a.m.
I came to do what is granted unto Caesar, give unto Caesar. The Lord allows a vote. May God put in the best man.
I believe in democracy. And as long as the Bahamian people believe in democracy, they should exercise their constitutional right to vote.
Everything looked beautiful, smooth, the way it should be. You know, Bahamians saying we ain't going overboard or for nothing for parties, but my reason to vote is just to, my national pride.
Residents sheltering from the heat under umbrellas as they waited patiently to enter the gym to mark their ballots.
The process right now is going pretty slow, but it's all right. And I come out vote early because I'm working the poll.
Well, I'm a senior citizen, and I'd like to vote early, but the process is very slow, very slow. I'm hoping that it can turn around and be more better,
According to this resident, this has been the longest time that he can recall standing online to vote.
2.5 hours, and this is supposed to be for the senior citizen. I think the gesture is good, but it needs to be properly organized. We're in the sun, and if it could be organized properly, we would have a good thing. But until then, this is the longest line I've ever been on. The general election don't take this long, so something needs to be done.
Returning officer for the Marco City constituency, Ivan Butler says overall, the process has been rather steady. However, he added that based on today's observations, they will look at opportunities to improve the process for next week's general elections.
There's always room for improvement, and so we will look how we can better accommodate the voters, particularly in the hot sun. We'll see if any kind of condition can be made to accommodate them in that sense. But other than that, we think we have done sufficient preparation in accommodating the voters. Many voters are on the register, so that is very good.
After speaking with a number of residents here in Marco City, they said the major concern was the long line. Some residents said they waited as long as 4 hours before voting. And now let's check with Jamila Mizik in West Grand Bahama.
Thanks, Jay. Well, it was a pretty quiet scene when we arrived here at the 8 Mile Rock High School Gymnasium, which is the center for the advanced polls today. And when we spoke to officials earlier, they told us that some 448 persons are eligible to vote today in the advanced polls ahead of the September 16th general election.
The majority of early voters standing in line in West Grand Bahama were senior citizens. Returning officer for the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency, Gilbert Kemp, says despite the fact that residents are voting in a pandemic, the process has been going well.
The COVID ambassadors are out there, and along with the police, we've been doing our best, and it's been quite well. People are complying, and most of them are adhering to what you ask them to. When you're dealing with seniors, you're dealing with a different crowd of people, different group of persons, and they're more well-behaved.
Kemp noting that there were a number of voters who showed up early to mark their X.
At this stage, probably, I think we've coded well over 200. So almost half of the persons have voted already.
So you're expecting an early day for you guys here in West Grand Bahama?
Correct. But the polls don't close until 6. So that's when our day ends.
However, he says there were some challenges, especially dealing with senior citizens. He shares this recommendation.
A couple of them got sick, or some were feeling weak. They say, oh, I didn't take my sugar tablets, or I took it and I didn't eat as yet. And so that was presenting a challenge for us going forward. If we're going to continue this, I think we'll have to deal with it differently. We might have a number system where we have 1 or 2 tents where persons can sit underneath of it. They can collect a number, and then you just call them by the number instead of some of them having to stand on the line.
These voters say they felt it was more convenient to vote in the advance poll, and they're sharing their reason for exercising their right to vote in the next general election.
I will tell the truth, as a PLB all of my life, I want to see them create more jobs.
Well, I have a lot of faith in Dr. Minnis, and I see what he's doing. A little tells you what a great deal means.
I just put in my trust in the Lord. The Lord is able to do anything, because He knows all things, and He is able to do whatever He sees fit to do. Whatever He do is well done.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. There's still more news to come right after this break.